And out for McCarr, shot stop, rebound, looks it and scores! The Colorado Avalanche are headed to the Stanley Cup Final!
How sweet does that sound? The Avs returning to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 20 years.
I think the city's excited for a championship.
The Mile High City is preparing for them to bring home the cup.
Denver's a sports town. We love our sports teams, and watching the Avalanche go to the Stanley Cup is great for downtown.
Plus closure for friends and family of an avid cyclist.
Man, she was the real deal. The real deal.
These loved ones are keeping her memory alive by doing what she loved.
We were just not just husband and wife, but we were teammates.
First at 6, we have a Denver 7 weather action day in effect for severe weather across the Front Range. A National Weather Service meteorologist took this picture showing a system that produced a brief funnel near Sedgwick, that is in northeastern Colorado. Good evening, glad you're with us tonight at 6. I'm Shannon Ogden.
I'm Ann Trujillo, and we start with Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson. And Mike, we have tornado warnings out on the eastern plains.
We do right now, as a matter of fact, and severe thunderstorm warnings. This is live from Burlington, where it is really coming down with heavy rain at the moment. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect over the Burlington area, and that goes until 7 o'clock tonight as this storm will push down to the south and east into Kansas. This is where we have the severe weather that includes the tornado warning just to the north and west of Lamar. Radar indicated we do not have a tornado on the ground, but we're seeing rotation with the storm. Now, Denver has been taken out of the severe thunderstorm watch now. We thought we might get some redevelopment because there's been some outflow pushing back. This is moist air coming back from those storms. Probably not going to get here in time to really get anything going for the metro area. But storms, although they'll miss the metro, they will still affect the eastern plains for a couple more hours. Partly cloudy overnight, fewer storms tomorrow. Hot and dry as we head toward the weekend.
And now to the Colorado Avalanche, now on top of the Western Conference and back in a position they haven't been in more than 20 years.
Avs back in the Stanley Cup Finals. 4 wins away now from their third cup in franchise history.
And their opponents still to be determined, but we do know the Ball Arena will be rocking no matter who comes to town.
Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez there at pre-rockin' Ball Arena with all this excitement building a crowd around here. Ivan?
Shannon, I spent the afternoon walking around downtown talking with fans, and I can tell you people are excited for the Stanley Cup Final to be played here in Ball Arena and possibly won here for the first time in more than 20 years. Early Tuesday morning, sports fan stores across the metro were quick to bring in brand new Avs merchandise.
I think we probably get in about 200, and then we have a lot additional on order. But something like that is probably our count this morning.
The speed to get items on the shelves matched only by customers eager to take them back off.
Dropped at Park Meadows, opened the box. Husband and wife are like, can we have one of those each? And like, here we go. So we're selling it out of the boxes.
That same excitement is felt across the city.
This is a huge deal for Denver because not only are the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup, which is so exciting for the first time in 15 years, but Denver's a sports town. We love our sports teams.
Kate Barton with the Downtown Denver Partnership says fans will have to wait to hear about the events and celebrations the city is planning.
I don't think we can talk about it because we don't want to jinx it, but I will just remind folks, when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, this town was electric.
Though Matthew Payne with the Denver Sports Commission confirms those conversations have started.
News is still fresh off of last night's win, but I know that there has been discussions kind of at the city level about some of the activations that could take place for people here locally and all the Avs fans, and of course the ones that are coming in from the region or possibly around the country.
That's the character of the team. They don't freak out.
Few have been closer to every step the Avs have taken than Sport Talk host Darren D-Mac McKee, who flew back from Edmonton fresh off the win this morning.
Well, I was around when they last won the cup, over 20 years ago, and there's a certain sense of pride with hockey fans and the hockey community.
D-Mac senses those celebrations from 2 decades ago could repeat themselves. If they do, it'll serve as a massive win for the Avs and the city.
But in general, it was just a massive amount of joy and celebration. And so that's what I anticipate with this too. Joy and celebration, because I think good things are coming.
We did some investigating just in case you were thinking about going to a game. The cheapest ticket that I could find right now costs $900, and the most expensive one is going to run you several $1,000s. Live outside Ball Arena, Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
And free to watch right here on Denver 7. Thank you very much, Ivan. And the last time the Avs were in this position was back in 2001. They beat the Devils in 7 games for their second Stanley Cup. And look at that crowd. Tens of thousands came to downtown Denver for the big parade. So here's hoping we have another scene like this later this month.
Now, it's still too early to tell when the Avs will take the ice next. What we do know is their opponent will either be the New York Rangers or the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Rangers currently lead that series 2-1, and the Avs won both their games against both teams during the regular season. So no matter who the Avs play or when, you will be able to watch the Stanley Cup Finals right here on Denver 7.
New at 6, the former Lake County coroner and his wife have been found not guilty of attempted tampering of a dead body and abuse of a corpse. Shannon and Stacy Kent were arrested February of last year after a body was found in a funeral home they owned together in Silverthorne. The Kents surrendered their license to operate a funeral home 3 months earlier. The DA says they'd hoped for a different outcome, but say they respect the jury's decision. Gwen Inglis is remembered for her passion for cycling, which turned her into a national champion. Today, the man who hit and killed her while she was doing what she loved was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon was inside the courtroom for the sentencing. And Colette, there was also a very touching special remembrance ride leading to the Jeffco courthouse today.
Shannon, that ride started all the way in Denver, and it brought family and friends here to Golden, to the courthouse, in honor of Inglis today. And during emotional victim impact statements in the courtroom, many describing the cyclist they knew and loved. Some were saying she would have wanted to see stricter punishments for similar cases like this, saying they just haven't been sufficient in the past. There's something special between a cyclist and their bike.
Really kind of brought her out of shell in a lot of ways.
The sport changed Gwen Inglis's life.
Probably the one word that I would give would be selfless.
And she changed everyone's life here.
Man, she was the real deal. The real deal.
And when Gwen met Michael almost 20 years ago, he fell fast.
Well, the fact that she's a 6-foot Dutch blonde marathon runner, accountant, I don't know what else you could ask for.
This is her wedding. She was so beautiful the day of her wedding.
The two were 4-time national champions, taking home the titles on this tandem bike.
There's never a day that I go for a ride that I don't miss having my wife there.
As the group takes off today, Michael is riding their bike alone.
It's because it's kind of definitely overwhelming to go through and have to relive all that again.
It's something he's had to do for more than a year, since May 16th. Of 2021.
It was a beautiful Sunday morning, and
that's when Gwen's older brother Keith got the call.
He told me Gwen had been hit.
Her husband watched as an impaired driver hit and killed Inglis while she was riding in a bike lane.
Tried to do all the things that a paramedic can do to save a patient, and it gets amplified when that patient just happens to be your wife.
That day their world stopped.
This was the day before she died. Not being able to just talk to Gwen now, but the only thing we can do is go to her grave and remember her.
Today, the cyclist ride ends at the courthouse in Golden for the sentencing of her killer.
We don't hate him, and that is strange to people because they say, don't you just hate him for what he did?
But knowing nothing would ever bring back the one they love.
Gwen's gone, and I don't think there's a magic number that would seem like enough.
Now, Montoya did also speak to the court today, apologizing and promising to get clean and sober. However, the judge says that addiction is no reason or excuse for taking someone's life. He does get credit for time served. That's around a year at this point. Live in Golden, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Thank you, Colette. Colorado scientists and climate activists joined Colorado Senator Michael Bennet today for a Senate subcommittee meeting to discuss the ongoing drought across the western U.S. They say the federal government needs to act quickly before many of the West rivers and reservoirs reach dire levels. This is a look at the latest drought map released last Thursday. 99% of the state is listed as having drought conditions. And Senator Bennet says Congress needs to approve billions of dollars to offset the impacts of climate change.
One of the things people here need to grasp is that climate change has made our forests much more vulnerable than they used to be, And the federal government has failed to invest in its own forests over many years, over decades. So we have a massive amount of deferred maintenance, which is why these numbers sound as large as they are.
An associate professor at CSU says the continuing drought could cost an extra $500 million in agricultural damages over the next 30 years from flash flooding and landslides after forest fires.
As police work gets more dangerous,
in my career as a police officer, I was involved in 2 different active shooters.
officers need more protection.
We want to be able to equip them so that they can protect our families every day.
A Colorado company is helping equip officers for any threat.
We need to empower law enforcement officers and first responders